As the battle escalates, growing fiercer by the second, the struggle comes to an end, and the conqueror to be proclaimed. But both sides hold on to their courage. Who is the victor here? For one of them has been storing a trick up its sleeve, and it may strike a decisive blow when least expected.
Ladies and gents, boys and girls, Douglas and my intro sucked, but hear me out. Today we're going to look at the Flaming Espinas, which is one of the monsters in the title update number 2. I'm going to try and get through this as quickly as possible because there's a lot to say. So for the most part, Flaming Espinas is very akin to the standard Espinas. There's a couple of things about it that we need to talk about that is different from it. Standard part for the course that it's still sleeping when you come and see it, so you throw the bombs down, do the big boomy, and then you're good to go. Now after that part, the monster gets pissed off and you start fighting it. So the first thing you should note is that its elemental weaknesses are slightly different. Now I know the standard Espinas is more weak to water, dragon, and then thunder, with a higher resistance to that of ice, but in this particular case it's actually the weakest to ice, then followed by dragon, and then water. Slightly wonky, but you know, it is what it is. So bring some Lunagoron and you're good to go, or Galsarago, whoever your ice monster preference is. Outside of that, the hit zones that this monster is known for being really odd about, the fact that it has to be enraged for certain things of his body to actually be more applicable to damage, that's still the case. So you're going to have very tough time actually doing true damage to the thing until it gets really mad and you start to see the veins course through its entire body. So the hit zone is actually going to be a little wonky up until that part. So something to look out for, but it's kind of par for the course of this particular monster. Now the big draw, the big claim to fame for this thing is that a lot of the attacks it does are kind of the same, and then some of them take on different properties. So let's talk about that really quickly. So his fireballs no longer do the paralysis. Now remember, Espinas had paralysis on his fireballs. Flaming Espinas is a little bit different. So Flaming Espinas still gives you poison on your fireball, on its fireball rather, but this time it gives you defense down. So that's something to actually watch out for. When you go to fight the monster itself, it actually gives you adamant seeds in the box. You can either bring that or bring your own armor skins or whatever, but remember that the fireballs, if you get hit by it, it gives you defense down. Even if you block the fireball, you also get afflicted with defense down. So for us lancers and whatnot out there, kind of have to watch out for that, because it can get a little annoying and a little saucy if you're not paying too much attention. Speaking of fireballs, it has one massive fireball, okay? This is the big slapper you may have seen in the opening cutscene. But this particular slapper of a fireball, he charges, or he or she, whatever, charges up for quite a long time. You can see it coming from a mile away. It kind of stands up on his hind legs and trying to really charges it up. It takes so long for it to come out though, that you should almost never get hit by it unless you A, don't care about it, or B, for whatever reason didn't see it coming. I tried in this particular gameplay and a couple others to block it or evade it in some kind of sense where you can hold your ground. You cannot. No matter what level of guard up, whatever you have, you can't block it. I died every single time. So the fireball itself was unblockable. What you want to do instead is you want to just get out of the way, let it do its own thing. After it does that fireball though, it always takes flight immediately and shoots another fireball. This other fireball is just a standard fireball, so you can block this, you can counter this, whatever you will do. You can like follow up from that, because the standard fireball afterwards is just that, a standard fireball. And after that, it does have a particular spastastic run. You know, the particular run, the Wraithian run, you know, where it's like run this way, run that way, run this way again. It has the same 3-tier running thing, but for whatever reason, I think this is part of what it is, it's incredibly spastic. I mean, it'll run and like flail when it does it. It'll spin at the end of the run and shoot a fireball. It's pretty spastic, like I said, but nothing too egregious, truth be told. It's just what seems to be a lot quicker. Like, you'll see it, you're like, dang, it's moving quite a bit, you know, a lot faster than normal. And it does it more often than not, so it's a means to actually just kind of fill the air with just throwing its body around, just throwing a huge hitbox out there, you know what I mean? Outside of that, it also has a murder blow spin. Now, if you guys remember murder blows at all, or I forget what it's actually called, I just call it murder blows, but the big super Diablos, where it'll do a really quick spin, then it'll throw his horns up, whatever, does a huge amount of damage. It kind of has that spin now. It's a little slower, but it does have the spin. It will do the spin like out of the spastic run that I talked about, and it'll just kind of do it raw. It doesn't hurt like too bad, but you can get caught with it and it will hit you with a fat L. Also, if you get hit with the tail when it does this, you're gonna get poisoned as well, so watch out for the tail, or any tail attack for that matter. You'll get poisoned by the tail. But the tail spin, the spastic Diablos super spin thing, that's a thing that it has also. Now, for the most part, that's pretty much all there really is about this Flaming Espinas. Other than that, it's essentially just a regular Espinas with these new additional attacks that are pretty charged up. You know, they're like the new run, the Diablo spin, the fireball properties. These are all the new things about it. Other than that, it's essentially the same thing. We can talk about the gear very briefly because I'm trying to do these videos as quick as I can because I have 2 others to knock out. So for the gear, as far as it goes, the only thing you really need to know as far as the weapons are concerned is that the weapons are very akin to the standard Espinas weapons. The only thing you're losing is a tiny bit of raw. Roxas, put the stat sheet up there so you can see the...
Hey guys, Roxas here. Yeah, I'm not editing this video. I've got to work on a certain Super Saiyan monkey style video. So, yeah, good luck, Dak.
Oh wait, no, you're not editing this video. Damn it, now I have to edit it. Okay, anyway, this is what it looks like. You know what I mean? So for example, on the screen here, we're looking at its greatsword. Its greatsword gives you 320 with the standard Espinas, but with the flaming, you give you 310. The sharpness is the exact same essentially as far as the natural corporal goes, but you get like you see the fire element. It gets quite huge. Now, there's one last thing I need to note about all of its weapons. All of its weapons, at least the fire ones that are concerned anyway, will also still give you poison. Now, that sounds kind of wild, does it not? Yes, you can still proc poison onto a monster with its weapons. It's in the description of its weapons, and it does actually work. You can swing on a monster and you will get the poison. If you use the ability status trigger, which when activated, every single swing will proc for the poison or the status element, you will indeed get the poison. We tried it in the practice stage, and within 5 hits we poisoned the practice dummy. Now, sure, when you go to fight actual monsters, depending on their resistance and so on, it'll be slightly different, but it is a thing that can happen. Its fire weapons will poison you. It isn't shown rather immediately, and we don't know the exact values of the poison, just know that it's a thing that can actually happen. So that's actually kind of cool. Now, the last thing I want to talk about is its special ability on its armor. The armor set is, you know, whatever. It has stuff, you know, it's not really all that important. But the one skill to really note about is the Intrepid Heart. Intrepid Heart is a brand new ability exclusive to that of the Flaming Espinas right now. As it stands, it kind of works like this. So when you swing on a monster, a little gauge will appear above your name. Once you fill the gauge up, if you get hit by an attack or whatever, the attack itself will do you little to no damage at all. You don't flinch from that attack either. And also at the very end of that attack, an explosion happens that actually damages the monster itself. So let's say you filled the gauge up, right? By swinging and slapping a monster all over the place. Now, once the gauge is filled, the monster will in turn attack you. You will not get knocked down. You may take very little damage, and then once the attack actually hits you, you yourself technically kind of explode and shoot a blast back at the monster, damaging that monster. The practice dummy, when we did it, the explosion was 300 damage, so it's a pretty solid amount of damage. Now, the cool thing about it is certain weapons build the gauge faster. For example, greatsword isn't the greatest when it comes to filling the gauge, but we did a lot of testing, and it turns out that charge blade with the super pizza cutter ability is one of the best to do it, as well as the longsword. Now, I don't know all these silk bind abilities. I'm just gonna call them by what they look like. You know, the pizza cutter thing, it's, as far as I'm concerned, it's the best one that requires a little effort to get it done. The longsword has this one ability where it like does a thing, because you know longsword is where it does a thing, slashes or whatever, like 50 hits pop out of it. That builds the gauge really quickly. Essentially, any weapon who can hit multiple times very quickly will get a huge boost to it. So longsword, charge blade, hunting horn, believe it or not, and also insect glaive is pretty good as well. So Intrepid Heart allows you to actually reduce incoming damage and then in turn damage the monster for free, and it builds up immediately after that, so you can use it and then it builds up again. It's a really cool skill. I personally like quite a bit. Once I actually make the armor set for this monster, I'm gonna use it as best I can. As far as just getting that particular skill though, you would only need the legs and the arms from this monster to get that particular skill. Outside of that, the rest of the skills the armor have is kind of whatever. You don't necessarily need it. But with that being said, everyone, that's pretty much everything I can really say about the Flaming Espinas. I know this isn't incredibly detailed, but I try to get all the critical points in there because one, I'm gonna get all these videos out to you guys as soon as I can, and two, I still gotta fight the monster a bunch of times too. But this is all of my observations I was able to observe. I'm playing with friends so that way I can get 3 brains on this as opposed to just 1 to get this done as soon as I can. So that's what we learned from all this. If you guys want to know more about anything that I said in here, please do not hesitate to ask me in the descriptions, and I'm probably well, not the descriptions, the comment section, and I probably have an answer for you, or I can do some more research to get some things sought out for you guys, that way you can have the extra juicy sauce there. And also I think that's pretty much all I have for you today. So yeah, take care, peace.